One thing I would like to say is that there are about 150 American study abroad programs in Italy, and most of them are gathered under the aegis of ANCUP, that stands for Association of American College and University Programs in Italy. Um, there is a sort of tendency, I wouldn't really call it a myth, but a kind of shared the belief about American universities that is usually quite negative and derogatory. And usually the US students make the news only because they disturb the peace at night, or maybe because they committed some crime, like just disturbing the peace at night or something like that is. Well, if I may indulge in my love of history for a while, Saint Augustine, around 378, complained that his rhetoric students in Carthage were often drunk, late for class, and rowdy. Petrarch in Avignon, around 1345, complains about university students disturbing him at night because they were shouting in the streets and they were always drunk, so-called clerici vagantes. Students or students, as the Latin verb studere means, they are filled with desire, because studere doesn't only mean to study, it also means to have desire, to long for something, including company, of course, and some fun. But there are many other things that students in general do, and that hardly ever makes the news. A lot of our students volunteer. They devote a lot of time and attention to the local community. That feeling, that cycle, so to speak, of reciprocity that Serena was mentioning a few minutes ago, really becomes their essence of their study abroad experience, which is not just going to class, but it's really giving back to the community, to create a community that metaphorically goes on for their whole lives, because it's a life-changing experience, of course. 10 years ago, we did a festival, the Tuscan American Festival, where we tried to bring to the fore a number of these volunteer activities. If we launch that festival again today, 10 years later, it would probably take not 3 or 4 days, but probably 3 or 4 weeks, because of the number of new initiatives and volunteer opportunities that US students are engaged in. And I'm speaking of Florence, where on average every year there are almost I would say 15,000, maybe 18,000 US students. So you can imagine the impact that they have on the local economy, on the social dynamics, but also how much good they can do, and they do really do. That is, they really make a huge contribution to Florence. And we noticed that when they were not here. During COVID, the city was empty, and the locals, people like three of us, were here in lockdown, of course, but of course, everyone missed a number of things and people, including tourists. But everyone agreed that the lack, the absence of students, especially international students, was particularly felt. And speaking of taking opportunities, I think we missed personally a great opportunity with COVID, especially right after COVID. That could have been another sea change in terms of changing paradigms, but it's not too late. We don't have to wait for another pandemic to change our habits, to change how we approach people, to change expectations and values. I don't know whether you want to share some updates and information on new volunteer opportunities, new internships that we have now that we didn't have 10 years ago, or maybe some changes, some new trends. Maybe there are some sectors, some speakers, some context that are now more attractive to students who want to volunteer than they were 10 years ago.
Well, this year I've started two volunteer activities. One is reading novels in the local libraries. So Italian kids 3 to 8 can be exposed to a reading in English. And another one that I care a lot about is by an association called Sheep. And they do crocheting. But the good thing is that they do it for a good cause, which is to make blankets for the homeless. And what I like is the idea that each single square is nothing. It makes sense only when they are sewed and linked one to the other. So each student will do just a little piece, and each piece will be different one from the other because some students know already how to crochet, other students have no idea how to do it, and they learn on the spot. So one that is nicer, one that is well done, one next to the other, make the whole cover, the whole blanket. So not only they have fun because it's very relaxing, but more than that, I try to tell them and to make them remember that each of them is no one. And each individual effort is nothing if you don't put them together. Or it's a small piece. I don't want to say nothing. It's a small piece, but it makes sense when it's all together.
Any other comments, either from the floor here or from our virtual platform? Because if not, before thanking you once again for being here today, I would like to turn the floor over to Athina Kritikou and Spiro Kolkas for some last remarks. Because one thing that I usually find rather sad about meetings and conferences that there is this notion, well, everything is ephemeral, of course, in life, and life is brief and fleeting, etc., etc. But I would like to see these events as a starting point, not as a standalone thing that we did it, or right now we part ways and goodbye. Maybe I'll meet you on vacation 5 years down the line, because this could be the beginning of a series of events, right, with a number of iterations, not necessarily in Florence, not necessarily in Italy. Please, Spiro and Athina.
Okay, it's important. You know, Stefano, when I told you the title, Open Minds, Open Doors, well, I had an idea. You can imagine open minds, open doors. The open doors was very interesting for me. So, of course, today is not the ending. I hope it is a beginning. To me, for example, this Dynamo camp and the other lady, for me, it's very important. And I know with which foundation or NGO she's working with, and we are working with too. So I'll try the fun thing, the interesting thing now is that after tonight, I will think of other connections because one connection brings the other connection and it's a link. And if you want to change things, you cannot build the house if you don't have the foundations. So now let's do it slowly, slowly, lay the foundations. But I think we will find common grounds. It won't come tomorrow morning. I have already two ideas. It can be, I would like to do something again here in Florence because I like the city and I would like to go back. But of course, you're invited in Athens, so we can do terrific things in Athens too, and somewhere else too. But yes, I see it as a beginning. And thank you very much because Spiro had the idea of Florence. Then you really, when I said thank you for sharing the vision, Stefano could say, look, very interesting your ideas, but I was not interested here. It's doing it here. So thank you very much. Really, thank you very much. Thank you all of you, because it's very nice to meet people and to exchange ideas. We're not so different. We think we're different, but we're not so different. And Marco, next time I think we will do tremendous things, much more.
Sure.
We will find the other solutions to be much more effective.
Yes.
Yes. And thank you very, very much. I don't feel you have certain things to add.
A few things. The first one that I really keep from this conference is the video from the deaf group.
The silence
The
of the
silence.
video.
The silence, but at the same time, their insistence that we want to move to the leadership. beyond inclusion, their words, not mine words. Okay, so for me, this is very important because I come back again to my introductory thoughts. The whole experience today, that of course should be a beginning, is about the importance of the independent sector. And after that came the experience of Dynamo. Come and say, look, just because we have 1,900 volunteers, we succeed the number of 10 millions. And actually, we hosted 80,000 people. If we miss one number on this line, I'm sure that we didn't understand anything today. Because this line is very important. Volunteers make the funding possible. If you remember the slides of the public sector on the presentation of the Dynamo Group, it was 2%, 3%. Okay. So we have something that is a successful plan from the practical reality. And I think that if we continue this initiative today and starting to connect and concentrate information from all around Europe, also Maria from Poland gave us many important info about how they work and how much important is the intersectional synergy of different agents. We have to understand that, okay, it's a matter of fact that we need the state, but today we have something new, something that is beyond academia, is beyond the state, is beyond our dependency on the private companies, and starting from the volunteering participation and the whole mobilization of the independent sector for, succeed all these outcomes. So thanks again, Stefano, and all of you about this opportunity to rethink about this. And our values is to stay together and to imagine together. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Marco, for your patience all those months.
He works with me, so he's well trained. But he has a PhD in patience and resilience because we've been working together for a decade.